Hello, Carolina Village. I hope everyone's having a great morning so far. Thank you so much for joining me today for your Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and today's session I have designed to focus on coordination. Coordination is a very intricate combination, how suitable, of the nervous system, the muscles, the brain, and all of that coordinating our functioning together. Um, as we age, those connections decline. Typically, as we age, we move less. We move in a more simplistic way. So we are not challenging our bodies and doing different things with different parts of the bodies at the same time. So for today's class, that is what we'll be doing. And your brain may get really frustrated, a little, um, it might be hard to figure out some of the movements in your body, but just try to stick with it. Try not to get too frustrated. Know that even if you're being challenged, and really, especially if you're being challenged, this is what you really need. And even if you feel like you're not actually accomplishing any of the movements as you should be, you are still benefiting your body and that neurological connection. So stick with it. Don't give up. It should be fun. You'll probably laugh at yourself a couple times. I know I will teaching it. So, for today's class, it would be great to set your mat the way that mine is, um, on the narrow edge or long ways with the chair. You can have your towel today. Um, One of our exercises, we will be doing hip circles, but we're trying to do shoulder circle on the opposite arm at the same time. So I will encourage a one hand hold. However, you can do a one hand hold with your towel. Or if that's just too much, then you'll focus on the hip circle with both hands. So have that towel if you would like to, if you normally like to do hip circles with it. Go ahead and make sure you've got it. Um, Beyond that, as always, barefoot is the best if you can. You know, you can try it both ways. So some of you may have health issues where it's actually more beneficial for you to be in your shoes in terms of giving support to the feet. But it is also really great to try to move those feet through their full range of motion, which is not really possible in footwear, which restricts us. So let's get started, y'all. So for today's breathing exercise or our centering, we'll be doing a breathing exercise called Viloma Pranayama or breathing against the grain. This one coordinates the nervous system. And I don't know why I air quoted that. It really does, but it balances parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. So it's both calming, parasympathetic, and stimulating or energizing, which is our sympathetic system. But it kind of typically one is more active than the other at any given time. And so it brings it into balance and kind of coordinates the two. So for this one, I recommend actually leaning back in the chair. I know that I have taught it in the past with being on the edge of the seat, but there's something really helpful about leaning back, resting into the support of your chair while still maintaining good posture and being able to have a hand on the belly and a hand on the chest. Because if you recall with this breathing technique, or if you're joining for the first time with this technique, we're trying to accomplish a three-part breath. And we're trying to fill first down to the base of the lungs and then work our way up with the air. So even though our lungs don't extend past about really the level of the chest, we feel movement in the belly. So what we're trying to accomplish with that first part of the inhale is the belly to rise, then the ribs to expand, and then the chest and collarbones to expand. So you'll inhale belly, ribs, chest, and then you'll exhale chest, ribs, belly. So it's the opposite for the exhale. See? Lots of coordination involved in our breathing technique even today. So go ahead and lean back. Try to make sure that you're still maintaining this openness in the front of the body and not letting yourself round, which is really easy to do here. So you're still using some muscle effort to stay open. Bring one hand to the solar plexus or belly button area, one hand to the chest. Go ahead and let your eyes close. The feet can be more or less relaxed. You don't have to worry about the spacing of whether they're hip width or what the knees are doing. Just let the feet be comfortable and wide. And just start to first notice your regular breathing and if you feel any movement in the hands or not. So does the belly lift and push on that hand on the belly? Does the chest rise and press on the other hand? If you're not feeling a lot of movement, that's actually pretty normal, because our regular breathing, when we just allow our body to breathe for us, is fairly shallow. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but the more time that we can spend in concentrated effort of our breathing, the healthier it is for our lungs. Just bringing vitality, oxygen, and actually helping the lung tissue. So let's start to try to bring more movement to the hands, to try to work in a concentrated effort towards coordinating the breath in those three parts. And if you'd like to, you can even visualize your torso filling with air, even though we know air doesn't move past the lungs, but it might be a helpful visualization to help you accomplish this breathing technique. So when you're ready, you'll start to deepen the inhales and exhales. And then once you've established a deeper breath, try to accomplish the three parts. So inhaling fully, trying to let that abdomen release and poke out. Then as you continue inhaling, the ribs. And as you keep inhaling and feel like you just can't inhale anymore, the chest and collarbones. And then on your exhale, trying to release air from the chest and collarbones, then the ribs, then the belly. So filling again, belly, ribs, chest, feeling that inflation and filling of the abdomen and the whole torso. And then on your exhale, chest, ribs, belly, almost like a big balloon that's deflating. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Keep breathing in this pattern as best as you can, moving faster perhaps, or slower, depending on how deeply and gradually you can breathe. Just like any of our exercises where we're trying to strengthen our muscles or strengthen our hearts with our walking and other cardiovascular exercises, we're trying to strengthen our lungs here. And of course, the lungs aren't a muscle, but we can actually change the way that oxygen exchanges at the alveolar level, at the base of the lungs, where that blood exchange occurs. And we can change and the cilia, all the little lining of the lungs, So, in a way, we are strength training our lungs right now. So, keep trying with that pattern of inhaling belly, ribs, and chest, and exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. Take about 3 to 5 more rounds here. Slow, deep breaths. And when you're ready to release that breathing technique, you can first release the arms. Start to blink open the eyes and start to bring yourself up to an upright seated position. We'll scoot to the edge of the chair and find seated mountain pose or Tadasana. And so the alignment here is very important for stability. And so we want to make sure that we have the knees about hip width apart and the ankles under the knees. And the feet are parallel, so we're not having any inward or outward maneuvering of the feet. From here, we'll work with our circular cat and cow movements. So if you've done this one before, you'll know this one does take a lot of coordinated effort. And so do your best to try to match the breathing here with the movement. I like to start with, and get your neck involved so the whole length of the spine is being manipulated in this movement. And so I kind of like to start to help me remember to use the head as well with dropping an ear to shoulder, then dropping shoulder towards hip, and then moving into that cat, exhaling, slowly starting to move over to that other side as the inhale begins, lifting up to center on the fullness of that inhale. And then exhale begins as I shift down and start circling forward. Inhale begins as I shift to the other side. Full depth of the inhale once I get to that cow. The hands can kind of glide along the legs or really do whatever works best for you to try to coordinate that movement. And so once you get the hang of it, you can move a little faster or a little slower, just depending on your breathing pattern. And then, of course, once you've gotten this down, finally, we're going to reverse directions. So, starting to shift over to the opposite side. Because I couldn't let you get off that easy. So remember to exhale as you side bend, forward bend. Start to inhale as you side bend the other way and back bend. So really making like a circle with the top of the head. And just feeling in the body a little bit more of a cyclical or circular movement. Now, I should have mentioned, and hopefully if you get dizzy while doing this, you have stopped. And you can do regular cat and cow. But if you're not getting dizzy and you're enjoying this movement, this little challenge for the body and the breath, let's take one more round. And on an exhale, relax, but not for too long because the brain challenge is continuing. So for our next coordinated movements, we'll continue to warm up arms and legs now, working at the ankles and feet and hands. So let's straighten out left arm, right leg. Stay upright. So this is a little abdominal challenge. You're going to make a fist with the hand at the same time that you powerfully point through the toes. And then flex the foot powerfully as you spread the fingertips apart, again with a lot of energy. And then release. So now let's switch. So left leg, right arm, come up. Point, fist, flex, spread the fingers, and release. Opposite. Point and fist, flex and fingers spread, and release. So try to keep that chest open, abdominals engaged. Flex and fingers and release. Let's keep going. Hopefully you're getting the hang of it now. Point and fist. And so these movements can be really simple and easy and have hardly any muscle engagement if you're not really focusing on it. So I want you to really focus on a powerful point and a powerful fist. You should feel that activating the whole arm and the whole leg. And then on the flip side, powerful flex, spread those fingers and toes apart. And then release. Let's do several more on each side. Just regular breathing here. You can coordinate the breath if you would like to. So I might like to exhale, inhale, and release. Exhale, inhale, and release. But of course, you can breathe differently if that feels better for you. Let's do one more on each side. Again, just trying to get the shoulders, hips, arms, legs, hands, toes, everything warmed up. This kind of gentle stimulation and engagement. And then, of course, our brain. We're actually making our brain stronger today. We're strengthening neurological connections between the brain and the muscles. Pretty cool stuff, even beyond just regular strength training that you might do or anything of that nature. Okay, let's start to get the core a little bit more involved today. So genie arms are basically crossing the arms. Try to have them shoulder height if you can, so we're really engaging the shoulder muscles. And you're going to twist to the right. This is a deep abdominal engagement twist. So we're wanting to engage transverse abdominis, our deepest layer that wraps this whole from the pubic bone all the way up to the ribs. It's our largest part of our abdominal muscles. And we're also engaging our oblique muscles, which are part of the abdominals as well. But we're going to try to deep twist. So think of really powerfully engaging, especially this right side as you twist to the right. And then you're going to try to come up onto the right toes. And release. Exhale, twist left. Same deep engagement, but on the other side. Come up to the left toes and release. So exhaling and center. Try to keep those elbows lifted. Try to come up to the points of the toes. It's not about how far you can twist here, but about how much you can engage those muscles. So it doesn't necessarily mean that further you twist, the more muscle engagement you have. Exhaling, maybe even through the mouth for a little more forceful exhale. When we do a pursed lip exhale, that engages our abdominals more. Woo, building some heat here. Let's do one more to each side. And relax. Shake those arms out. Probably a little tired. Our last warm-up brain bender movement will be a combined hip and shoulder circles. So I'm going to demonstrate without the towel. If you can do it without the towel, this is definitely going to be the easiest and best way to work the whole coordination angle. And so you would draw the right knee in towards your chest, and you're just circling the left shoulder as you circle the right knee. And we're trying to isolate the movement to just the shoulder and the hip. This one is definitely pretty challenging for the brain. But if you can't manage to hold underneath with that one hand, then try the towel hold with just one hand. And then if that's still just not working for you, your leg's too heavy, you just can't manage the hip circles, then just do hip circles with both hands or with both hands in the towel. All right, so lots of options. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much. If you can, you're going to follow along with me with the one hand opposite shoulder. And pick how you want the shoulder to rotate. You don't have to follow my same rotation, but we are going to reverse. So try to notice what you're doing with the hip and the shoulder. This one definitely got me the most. And now let's reverse directions. Yep, I think I got it. I think I reversed both of them. So just trying to coordinate the movement of both. Very challenging. Try to stay upright in your chair. One more circle. And release to center. Let's switch sides. So again, if you can, just the hand under or one-handed towel hold. Or if you have to, then eliminate the shoulder circles and just do both hands with the towel or both hands under the leg. So if you can, you're coming with me with the one hand under and circling just the right shoulder. I started trying to do the left one. Your brain is only as young as how you use it. It's kind of true for all of our bodies. Of course, there is, as we replicate DNA over and over, the cells do degrade. So there is that aspect, but we can slow that process down to an extent, or the effects of that process, with the way that we move our bodies. All right, so let's reverse directions. And for some reason, this side is way harder for me. So my left side is my weaker side, or my less dominant side. Maybe that has to do with it. Do your best. Stay upright. Circles on circles. One more. And relax. Okay, so coming back to our seated mountain pose. Take your time to set yourself up here. We're going to do our vinyasa a little bit different. So remember, we are going to forward fold, and then we're going to back bend on the way up. Instead of doing one breath down and one breath up, we're going to take 3 breaths with a pause to come down. So I'm going to recommend hands on the legs. But if you know that your back is strong and you want more of a challenge, then you can do this with the arms up or in your swan dive positioning. And so basically what we'll be doing is we'll take 3 breaths to come down, we'll take 3 breaths while we're down there, and then 3 breaths to come up through locust. So coming up tall, taking a deep inhale. Exhale, come about a third of the way down, and then pause on your inhale. Exhale, come a little further down. Pause on the inhale. Last exhale takes you all the way down into your fold. But remember, if you have issues with vertigo or you just get lightheaded, dropping the head below the heart, then you should stay paused at parallel to the ground here. And you'll still get a bit of a stretch, but just not as much of that lovely tractioning or lengthening of the spine. And so if you're down here, I mentioned 3 breaths, which we've probably already accomplished, but let's take one more deep breath for good measure. And then to come up, start to lift and engage the head and the neck. Sweep those arms back if you can, but you can always bring the hands to the thighs as well for more support. We're going to inhale, coming about a third of the way up. Pause on the exhale. Inhale, come a little bit more. Exhale, pause. Inhale, coming all the way into your back bend, maybe grabbing the back of the chair. And exhale, pause. And then go ahead and release that back bend. Nice work. So moving on, we're going to start here to bring that left hand behind us. Try not to tilt back too much yet. We're going to straighten out that left leg and start to work with some abdominal movements and coordination with the legs and the arms. So sending that right arm up. Exhale to rock back and lift that left leg. So engaging the abdominals, coming into a version of boat pose in yoga. Inhale to open the arm and the leg as far out to the sides as you can. Exhale back to center. And inhale back to neutral. Exhale, leg lifts, tilt back. Inhale, open. Exhale, center. Inhale, up. Do that 3 more times. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. 2 more. Open. And up. Last one. We're going to hold on the open, but don't hold your breath. So hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and instead of coming back to center, release that leg down. Relax this arm. We're going to take a forward fold in a different variation of a hamstring stretch. So you should probably feel this still in the backs of the legs, but also a little more in the inner thighs. Make sure that this left knee is not locked, that you have a slight bend. And so if you want to bring the foot down, that will probably help keep you from locking the knee out. And so you're just starting to lean forward, keeping length in the spine as long as you can. And just noticing how this shifts the stretch. If you're not feeling much of a stretch, I encourage you to try to open that foot a little further out to the side and just experiment with where you need to bring that foot to feel more of an inner thigh stretch. And remember, you can always come further down. So if you have yoga blocks, this is a great application for them. If you can touch the ground, go for it. Or even if you have another chair that you can put in front of you and have your hands or forearms on the chair. That's a great tool to use as well. So just try to relax here in your stretch for just a breath or 2 more. And on an inhale, start to come up. Try to find length in the spine. And since we're already halfway there, let's come into Warrior Two. So I'm just going to try to open this left foot a little further out to the side, and then my right leg opening out to the opposite side. And trying here to make sure that that right heel is in line with the arch of the left foot. Again, that's what we're shooting for, but it may not happen for you. You may be in a much more bent position, and that's okay. We're trying to work towards straight and the legs straight out towards the sides. So take some hip flexibility and strength. Trying to root that left foot down. Arms come up to find Warrior Two. Shoulders down. So press those shoulders away from the ears. Try imagining you're lifting from underneath. So lifting up from underneath so that you're not trying to lift up with the neck or the muscles in the neck. That can make our necks really sore. Okay, from here, trying to work to shift into high lunge and then back to Warrior Two several times. So I recommend for the first time, let's bring that right hand down to the chair. Sweep that left hand down, pivot on to the left toes, and you're just rotating that left hip. You can imagine maybe towards the ground or basically towards the right foot. One or both arms can come up, but again, for this first time, maybe just the one arm. So you found yourself in high lunge. Now let's immediately go back to Warrior Two. So you're going to open the hip, open the foot, and open the arm all together. So opening out, rooting that foot back down, sending that right arm up. If you felt nice and secure in your chair and you want to try with both arms moving, this is what it'll look like. So again, everyone, we're shifting towards high lunge. So if you're doing it without this hand coming down, then both arms come up on your high lunge. I'm going to continue to demonstrate with the hand down just for, I feel like probably most people will want that hand down. But let's open back out. So again, this is if both arms are up. All right, so those of you who can do both arms, now you've seen it. Continue to do it that way. Everyone else, let's take an inhale, sweep that arm down, pivot onto the toes, high lunge. Taking a breath here, shining that heart forward. On an exhale, opening the hip, foot, arm, Warrior Two. Cycle through that 2 more times. High lunge. Just staying there for a breath. Opening out to Warrior Two. Last time, and I'll show for the last time with both arms, just in case you want that little challenge. So you'll inhale to pivot, high lunge. Taking a breath here. And on your next exhale, opening out to Warrior Two. Deep inhale here, everyone. And on your exhale, relax the legs. This hip was probably burning a little bit. A lot of muscle engagement to shift back and forth. So shake those legs out, decompress. Let's find Tadasana on the other side now. Or Tadasana again to do the other side. So setting the feet, the knees, getting to the edge of that seat. Lift up through the crown of the head, opening the chest, stacking the shoulders over the hips. 3 breaths down, 3 breaths hold, and then 3 breaths to come up. So deep inhale. Exhale about 1/3 of the way down. And then inhale. Exhale, another third. Inhale, pause. Exhale, release all the way down. 3 breaths here. Maybe clasping opposite elbows. On that third exhale, releasing the clasp if you have done so. Let's lift a little bit. Hands come to the knees, but don't come too high up. Try to come as low down as you can while still feeling like you're keeping a relatively flat back. Arms sweep back. Inhale to lift a third of the way. Exhale, pause. Inhale, lift another third. Exhale, pause. Inhale, lift the rest of the way up, maybe grabbing the chair. And exhale, release. And let's take now our right hand behind us. Right leg straightens. Left arm lifts. Exhale, tilt back. Feel the abdominals engage, coming into a variation of boat pose. And that right leg lifts. Inhale to open. Exhale back to center. And inhale, lifting back to neutral. 4 more times. Exhale back, leg lifts. Inhale, open. Exhale, center. Inhale, starting position. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale up. 2 more to go. Stick with it if you can. The only reason why I would want you to stop is if you have any sharp, shooting, or pinching pain anywhere, or if you can't maintain a flat back. If you're burning, hurting a little bit, stick with it. That's your body experiencing, or that's how you'll get change and get stronger in your body. So last one. Let's exhale back. Inhale, open. Hold it for 5. Don't hold your breath though. 3, 2, and release that foot down. Relax and come up. Relax that left arm. Experiment here with trying to unlock the knee. You'll probably feel more of a stretch if the toes are lifted. However, if you just can't unlock that knee with the toes lifted, bring those toes down because it'll be very hard to lock that knee. And then on an exhale, start to hinge forward, getting that stretch in the hamstrings as well as a little bit into the inner thighs here. And experiment with the placement of that foot. You might want to shift it further out to the side. You might want to shift it further closer towards our traditional forward folding here, where we are just focusing on the hamstrings. And come down as deeply as you can. You may notice that with the leg out to the side, you can move a little deeper into the stretch because we're not hitting the hamstrings so intensely. Couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, slowly start to come back up, lengthening up and out. And then we'll find our warrior 2. So opening that right leg out more, opening that left leg out, possibly shifting in the chair a little bit. And take your time to set your foundation here, because from this foundation, we'll then do all of our movements. And we won't really have to move much else, especially that front foot. It pretty much stays in the same spot the whole time. So trying to get the knee over the ankle, heel in line with the inner arch of that back foot. Whole back foot grounded for warrior 2 at least. or as close to this as you can manage and be somewhat comfortable. Open those arms out to the sides. Chest stays open, just like the hips. So we want to make sure we're not trying to turn the chest towards the front leg. It actually stays open this way. And we just turn the head over that front arm. So let's take our transitions. We're trying to work through this 5 times. So do your best. Try to hang in there as long as you can. Left hand can come down. Circle or start to bring that right hand down as you pivot onto the right toes. Right hip moves down. High lunge. Taking a breath here. On your exhale, starting to open out to warrior 2. All right, just to show those who want to do no arms, let's do that. So those of you who need the hand down, you're just keeping that left hand down. Inhaling as you start to pivot to high lunge. Taking a breath here. Deep inhale. And exhale to open out to warrior 2. Arms are opening to both sides. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhaling, high lunge. Exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling, warrior 2. Inhaling here. And exhaling. And on the inhale, high lunge. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale to open. One more time. Hopefully I counted that correctly. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale, sweeping that right arm down. Pivot to high lunge. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale, open to warrior 2. Deep inhale here. And exhale, relax. Haha, nice work. Relax those legs. Shake it out. Come up to standing. And if you would like a little challenge, join me for standing through chair pose. Chair pose is just phenomenal for strengthening, especially the lower body. But with the arms, if you have the arms out, then it'll also strengthen the arms. I'll show you 2 different variations, but you'll come to the edge of the seat, walk those feet in under you, so heels are lifted, knees are still hip width apart, and so are the feet. Start to lean forward in your chair to kind of shift that weight towards getting out and up. So you can give yourself a little bit of a momentum move here, but not too much. We don't want to cheat ourselves, and we don't want to fall forward by pushing too far. So arms can come up. Shift the weight into the feet. If arms up is your limiting factor for holding this pose longer, bring the hands to in front of the heart. So you got your options. Breathe here. Try to open the chest. Back is engaged. Abdominals are engaged. And of course the legs. You're breathing. When you're ready to come up, slowly straighten. And take an exhale. Relax. Shake out those legs. Let's come to the back of the chair for a little standing sequence. So I'm just going to actually recommend that you shift your chair forward so that your feet are on your mat. Of course, if you don't have a mat, you don't need to move anything. But again, if you're using the mat because the floor is slippery, just make sure the back legs are on the mat still. Let's come as far away from the chair as we can while still feeling supported. and without having to lean forward to hold on to it. So I want my hips stacked over my heels, my ribs stacked over my hips, my shoulders stacked over my ribs, head over shoulders. We're going to start with calf raises. So making sure the feet are parallel here, making sure the knees are not locked. So take a little bend. I haven't explained or reminded you in a while why we don't lock the knees. So when we lock the knees, a couple things happen. We disengage the main muscles around those joints. We're putting all of the pressure into the joint itself. So that's why we want to tend to lock. Locking feels like, I'm relaxing those legs. But we're putting a lot of pressure in the joint, and especially on the ligaments that hold the joints together. So if we're talking about our knees, we've got cruciate ligaments inside. So you've probably heard of ACL, like an ACL tear, PCL. These are ligaments that cross on the inside of the knee. And then we have two ligaments, one on either side on the outside. That's it. That is all of the support that is holding the bones together of our femur and our tibia. And so beyond that, we have the muscles around the joints that secure the joint. So if we lock it and we disengage those muscles, we're just depending on the ligaments, which once they stretch, they don't have elasticity like the muscles. They don't go back. So once we stretch beyond a certain point, they stay stretched out, which weakens the knee joints. Sorry for that long explanation. Also, blood circulation. So when we lock the joints, we don't get blood coming back. We need the muscles to be active to pump blood back up against gravity and come back up to the heart. So those of you that do choir, you've been in weddings, anything where you're standing for a long time, they always stress not to lock the knees because you could faint with not enough blood flow to the brain. So I'll stop. Sorry about that. Calf raises. So engaging, zipping up, lifting as high up onto the toes as you can, and then lowering down. Move slowly here with concentrated effort. So we're not just flinging our body through space. The more concentration we put behind it, the more intention, it actually is more effective for the body. And this is just science. This has been proven. It's pretty cool. So we're trying for 10 of these. I believe that was 5. Here's 6. Also, this is really great to help stabilize the ankle joints. We're strengthening the calves, but we're also stabilizing the ankles. 8. Keep that core engaged. 9. And 10. On 10, let's try to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release those heels down. Now moving with the left leg, we're going to do some hip extensions. Freezing all of this into place, maybe shifting slightly in that left to that left foot. You're trying to press back and release. Back and release. So I'm really trying to work the glute muscles here. I want to make sure I am not leaning forward, because then that doesn't really utilize my glutes that much. 5 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, and I didn't mention that this standing work is going to be all of our balance work today. So you'll kind of see as we progress. Push-up time. So hands come to the chair as wide apart as you can get them while still feeling supported. So with a rounded chair like this, I don't want to go too far on the edges or my hands might slide. So just make sure they're as wide out as possible while still supporting you. Kind of pressing the butt back, knees slightly bent. Trying to keep the torso long, so try not to round. You're dropping the chest to touching the chair if you can, and then straightening. Elbows, instead of going straight out to the sides, try to tuck them in by the ribs. Press the shoulders away from the ears. 3, 4, 5, hopefully feeling it in the arms. 6, 7, 8. Keep pressing those shoulders away from the ears. Keep the spine long. Last one. Straighten out those arms. Now we're going to combine some of the movements that we've been doing into our Nautilus work. We're trying for 5 of these. So what you'll do is bend the arms slightly, so kind of a half push-up. Lift that right leg back behind you. Try to drop that right hip down. So we don't want to be opening that hip out to the side. If you feel stable, send that left arm out. If lifting that left arm away makes you feel like you're going to just fall flat on your face, then keep it down and just do the leg movement that we'll be doing. So if you can, both arm and leg, and you're tucking and opening out. 2. So again, if you can't do the arm, you're just doing the leg. 3, 4, and 5. Hold it out for 5, but keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, and release. Come on up. Woo! Shake it out. Decompress. Might do a slow hula hoop, so working through the muscles in the hips, the glutes that we worked really hard, hamstrings, all that. We'll do a good stretch at the end, but we'll go through that sequence one more time. So again, you're as far away from the chair as you can while still being able to reach it with the fingertips and feel supported in your balance, because it's not worth trying to push it too hard and falling. Okay? So those 10 calf raises. So we're lifting up, trying to stabilize the ankles, although they probably will be a little wobbly. 2. Trying to maintain that upright posture. 3. Think of that zipper zipping up. You're engaging all along the front of the body. 4. Coming as high up onto the toes as you can. 5. Make sure the knees aren't locked. 6. Nice and slow. 7. 8. This is so good for the ankles, also for the feet. 9. Remember, on this last one, we're going to hold it up. 5. 4. You can even test your balance a little bit here. 2. And 1. Slowly release all the way down. Working now with the left leg for our hip extensions, working the glutes. So you're pushing that leg back and bringing it forward. Well, not forward, but just back to neutral. Press back and release. Really engage, especially the lower abdominals here, to help you stay upright and to keep you from leaning. 5. Should feel that powerful glute engagement. 6. 7. 8. Got this, guys. We're almost done. Last push back. And bringing the feet back to neutral. 10 more push-ups. Hands come as wide out on the chair as you can. Elbows stay tucked in by the sides. Press those hips back. Bend those knees. 1. Try to get that chest all the way down if you can. And try to keep the spine long and flat. 5. 6. Just gazing down towards the seat of your chair so you're keeping the neck long and neutral. 3 more. 9. And here's 10. All right. Now let's combine some of those movements. So we're coming into a little half push-up position. Send that left leg out and back behind you. Try to drop that left hip down towards the ground. And you're either just tucking the knee 5 times, or you're tucking opposite arm and knee. So here's 5. 4, exhaling on that tuck. 3, 2. On this last one, you're holding out, but don't hold the breath. 5, 4, maybe even coming a little deeper. 3, 2, and 1. Come on up. Nice job, y'all. Very good. Let's take a little stretch and a nice shavasana to relax. So for stretching, come a little closer to your chair now. Let's take a step back with that right foot. Now, how far back you step will depend on how flexible your calves are. So I would start gradual, and you can always go deeper. But try to sink that back heel down, bend into this front knee, and just kind of shift that weight forward, pressing into the back heel until you feel a stretch all in that calf muscle. Oh yeah, if you're not feeling it, you probably need to step that foot further back. It just means you're very flexible in that muscle and or the ankle joint. Just taking some nice deep breaths here. Try to relax the shoulders. Don't have to worry so much about posture here. Let's move into pyramid pose, which will stretch the glutes and hamstrings. So glutes and hamstrings on both legs, really. So all you have to do for that is keep your back foot where it is and straighten your front leg. Remember to not lock that knee. Now you really know why. And if you don't feel enough of a stretch where you are here, just start to press back through that left hip. So left hip presses back, and you just hinge forward. Maybe even bringing hands to the seat, just depending again on how flexible you are. Oh, yes. So probably feeling it the most in the front leg in terms of the stretch. Don't worry, though. We're going to even it out on the other side. Of course. Just taking about 2 more deep breaths here. Start to come up nice and slow. Stepping that right foot forward to meet the left. And let's do that on the other side. So stepping that left foot back this time. Getting that heel down. That's key in stretching the calf muscle. And bending into that front knee. Because that push back with the heel and that bend forward gives you the right dynamics to stretch that calf muscle. But again, if you're not feeling it, you can try widening the stance. So kind of wiggling those toes further back. Taking a couple nice deep breaths. Again, trying to relax the shoulders, relax the face. All of those holding patterns that we tend to slip into without even realizing it, especially the shoulders. Like everyone that I've ever met has that problem. And so it's these times that we spend working on it. The more we work on it, the more we'll stop doing it, the more body awareness we can bring. So then it becomes a subconscious thing where we can actually stop from doing it. All right, so pyramid pose, Start to straighten that front leg. Nothing really changes with the back leg. If you don't feel a stretch at all here, start to shift the chest forward. Try to keep length in the spine. So we don't want to just round forward because you're actually not going to stretch here because of how the hamstrings connect to the pelvis. We want to push the pelvis back, chest down to get that stretch. Hands can come to the chair. Couple more deep breaths here. Nice work today, guys. That was probably pretty mentally challenging, if not also physically challenging. I forgot to laugh at you. No, just kidding. Maybe I did. I laughed at myself for sure. All right. So from here, let's move into our final stretch, standing downward dog. So if you feel a little wonky or unstable, bring both feet back together. But if you can, you're just going to kind of step or glide that right foot back and just move back into your downward dog. So I showed y'all a couple classes back how to do this at the wall. So if this is just too intense for you or you feel that you can't straighten out the back, then doing it at the wall can be very helpful. So pretending there's a wall here, and that way you're just not going quite as deep into it. Your body can possibly handle it a little better. So go to your wall if you need to, or stay at your chair, and you're just shifting back as far as you can until you feel a stretch all along the entire back chain of muscles in the body. So you might feel it in the calves, hamstrings, glutes, back, and then working into the chest and shoulders if you allow that head to drop down. Staying here several more breaths, maybe bending and straightening the knees or pedaling. So you're bending one knee and straightening the other. We call that taking your dog for a walk when you do that in downward dog. When you're ready to come up, lift that head and chest first. Slowly start to walk the feet in. And keep holding on to the chair until you know for sure that you're not dizzy. Because sometimes that change in body positioning drops our blood pressure and makes us lightheaded. Totally normal. But it just might be worse in certain diseases or other issues. Okay, y'all, we made it. Let's relax. So I'm just shifting my chair so I'll be on the screen still. So for your final relaxation, you can come to your couch, come back to your chair, come to the ground, come to an armchair, whatever you want to do to get the most comfortable. The idea here is to be the most relaxed while still keeping the chest and everything open. So if sitting in my armchair or if leaning back in my chair makes me do this closed off rounding, that's probably what we do all the time. We want to try to stay open, but we also want to try to relax the body. We don't want to hold muscle effort. So I strongly recommend moving somewhere else or laying down if you can. But it is possible to relax in the chair. I'll show you. So typically, I try to lean back, get my shoulders supported, but not so high up on the shoulders that it causes me to round. So I think I might be a little too forward in my seat. I'm going to adjust a little bit. Yeah. So it kind of depends on the seat height and your torso height. There we go. So try to relax the legs. Let them kind of just fall open to the sides. With the arms, they can dangle down, but for some people that's uncomfortable, you might start to get a little swollen in the hands. And so I typically will just kind of lightly interlace without any finger energy effort and just rest those hands. Slight tuck of the chin, perhaps, if you are in a seated position and your head's not supported behind it. Then you can kind of tuck a little bit, but don't just let that chin drop all the way down to the chest. Let your eyes close. Take a couple deep breaths, maybe even sighing on the exhale. These breaths of release. Just trying to observe if you're holding tension anywhere in the body. Let the breathing relax as well without forcing or controlling it. And just feel how that hard work, that mental and physical effort that we put forth today allows you to release now, to fully relax, not just physically, but also mentally. Just feeling a sense of fullness, contentedness, and ease. And just making sure those holding patterns are not taking over now. So feeling the eyebrows relax, the mouth relax, the teeth should part, the tongue's even relaxed in the mouth and not pressing up towards the roof or into the teeth. The practice of yoga, either chair yoga, yoga from the floor, whatever discipline we follow, it teaches us to be able to move from one extreme to another with ease. And so just as you feel heavy and relaxed right now, see if you can shift that sensation to a feeling of lightness, of alertness, just by changing the breathing. And then through changing the breathing, maybe deepening it, making it a little more active. See if you can change the sensation in the physical body. And as you begin to breathe deeper here, to start to wake up the body, start to just move gradually, fingers and toes. Ankles and wrists, maybe yawning like I just did. It's amazing how changing the breathing pattern can affect our bodies. Maybe taking a nice long stretch, reaching out through the fingers and the toes. And very gradually bring yourself up to an upright seated position. So if you're on the floor, maybe just stay there. If you're on the couch, maybe stay there. But if you were seated, try to come a little more upright. We want to stack the spine now. So all of our energy is kind of aligned here. Go ahead and bring the palms together in front of the heart. So whether you're sitting or laying, tapping into that heartbeat, tapping into that inner world, hopefully not for the last time today, but maybe for the last time with concentrated effort. And take a moment to express gratitude towards yourself for challenging yourself today, for continuing a practice that you have established, or perhaps for starting a new one if this is one of your first sessions with us. And this light and this love that is within me recognizes that within you. Namaste. When you're ready, you can release your hands and blink open your eyes. And thank you so much again for joining me today. I hope that you benefited from this practice and that you feel loose and open. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, send them my way so you can email me or call me. My info is on the hub, but if you don't use the hub or you can't find it, then you can always contact the front desk to get my information. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye.